You have heard that sound thousands of times. Your cat settles in close, closes its eyes, and starts to purr, and almost every time you interpret it the same way. It is happy, it is relaxed, it feels safe and at ease. That sound has become one of the most comforting things about sharing your home with a cat. But there is something science has been quietly observing for years, something most people never heard about because nobody took the time to explain it in a way that was genuinely accessible. Your cat's purr might be far more than a signal of emotional contentment. And what makes that idea so compelling is that it does not come from intuition or folklore. It comes from physics, from biology, and from a scientific coincidence that turns out to be very hard to ignore once you understand what it actually implies. If you want to discover what science suspects about that familiar sound, hit the like button right now and subscribe to the channel. Turn on the bell. Every week, we share something about cats that genuinely changes how you see them. The first step toward understanding this is letting go of a deeply ingrained idea that cats purr only when they are happy. That association makes sense because in most everyday situations, when the cat is in your lap or sleeping peacefully nearby, purring does accompany moments of calm and contentment. But veterinarians and animal behaviorists have spent decades noticing something that does not quite fit that simple explanation. Cats also purr when they are injured. They purr during difficult and painful labor. They purr in situations of intense stress, when they feel threatened, and when they are in the middle of recovering from illness. Purring has even been recorded in cats in the final moments of their lives. If purring were exclusively an expression of pleasure and well-being, what would it be doing in all of those very different moments? That question is the starting point for something far more interesting. It suggests that purring might have biological functions that go beyond emotional communication, functions the cat uses not only to express how it feels, but to actually do something inside its own body. This is where physics enters in a way you probably did not see coming. The purring of domestic cats generally occurs within a frequency range of approximately 25 to 150 Hz. That might sound like a dry, technical detail until you place it alongside what biomechanical research has been studying for decades. There's a substantial body of work in the fields of vibrational therapy and physical medicine that has explored the effects of low-frequency vibration on biological tissues. The findings from that line of research point to something very specific. Vibrations in a range close to 25 to 50 Hz appear to have stimulating effects on bone density and fracture recovery. Frequencies between 50 and 150 Hz have shown potential effects in some studies on soft tissue repair, reduction of inflammation, and pain modulation. The domestic cat's purr, by its natural physical characteristics, falls directly within that zone of frequencies that science has identified as potentially relevant to biological repair and maintenance processes. That is not proof of anything, but it is a coincidence precise enough that researchers noticed it and began asking whether something more is happening beneath the surface. From an evolutionary perspective, the hypothesis some researchers have put forward is genuinely thought-provoking. Cats are animals that spend a very significant portion of their time at rest. Compared to many other mammals of similar size, domestic cats sleep and rest for extended periods throughout the day. In most other animals, that level of physical inactivity would be expected to carry risks for bone density and muscle condition over time. Yet, cats do not show the kind of skeletal deterioration that might be predicted from such a sedentary lifestyle. The hypothesis some scientists have proposed is that purring may function as a passive maintenance mechanism, a way for the cat's body to stimulate its own tissues through vibration while resting, compensating for reduced physical activity with a continuous low-intensity internal mechanical stimulus. If that turns out to be accurate, the cat would not simply be sleeping. It would be performing entirely automatically and without any awareness, a form of vibrational conditioning on its own skeleton and soft tissues during rest. That is not a proven claim. It is a hypothesis supported by evolutionary logic and by the alignment between purring frequencies and the frequencies science associates with effects on biological tissue. Now comes the part that really makes you think. If purring generates real physical vibrations inside the cat's body, and if those vibrations transmit to some degree into the immediate surroundings, then when a cat purrs on your chest, against your legs, or beside your head while you sleep, your body is also receiving that vibration. Not at the same intensity the cat experiences internally, not in a controlled or clinically therapeutic way, but the vibration is physical, it is measurable, and it occurs within the same frequency range that science has associated with potential effects on biological tissue. A handful of smaller studies have explored the possibility that exposure to those frequencies might produce measurable effects on blood pressure, cortisol levels, and the human stress response. The results are preliminary, the sample sizes are modest, and science is far from making any definitive claims in either direction. But what can be said with confidence is this. The idea that being close to a purring cat could have physical effects on the human body is not simply a feel-good belief with no foundation underneath it. It is a hypothesis that the scientific community takes seriously enough to keep investigating, and that alone is worth paying attention to. There is something particularly fascinating about all of this when you look at it from the cat's perspective. There's no evidence that cats purr deliberately or consciously as a recovery strategy. They're not making a decision. They're not following a plan. Purring is largely an automatic process, generated by the rhythmic activation of the laryngeal muscles, in coordination with diaphragm movement. The cat has no awareness of what it is doing in biological terms, and yet, if the scientific hypothesis holds, its body developed over millions of years of evolution, a mechanism that uses precisely the right frequencies to stimulate and maintain its own tissues. That is what makes this story so remarkable. Not that the cat is aware of any of this, but that nature may have built something so precisely calibrated without any of the participants knowing it existed. It's important to be honest about what is known and what is not. There's no definitive study that conclusively proves feline purring repairs bones in humans, reduces the risk of heart conditions, or treats physical ailments of any kind. The existing research is suggestive, not conclusive. The correlations are interesting, not causal. Science is exploring this area, not closing it, and that far from making the subject less compelling, makes it more honest and more fascinating. Because what can be said with confidence is this: purring is a real physical phenomenon with specific frequency characteristics that align in a notably precise way with ranges studied in the context of bone and tissue biology. That alignment proves nothing, but it invites further looking. And when science decides to keep looking at something, it is usually because there's something there worth understanding. The next time your cat lies down on you and begins to purr, you're gonna hear that sound differently. It will no longer be simply the noise of a contented animal settling in for a nap. It'll be the vibration of a biological mechanism that evolution spent millions of years building, operating at frequencies that science is still learning to fully decode. A sound the cat produces without any conscious thought that has existed in its body long before any human word existed to describe it, and that may be doing far more than any of us ever paused to consider. The relationship between cats and their purr is one of the most quietly extraordinary things in the natural world, familiar enough that most people stop noticing it, and complex enough that researchers are still piecing together what it actually means. The purr was always there. You just hear it differently now. If this video opens something new for you, share it with someone who loves their cat, give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell. See you in the next one.